Hey everybody, how are you doing? I'm wondering how you're handling social distancing. If you're like a lot of people, it's probably kind of new, it's kind of strange, and you're just wondering how long, in fact, you're going to be able to do this. And it got me to thinking, does the Bible ever speak to the idea of what we're supposed to do when we're separated from each other? And I got to thinking about the Apostle Paul writing to the church at Philippi, the church he loved so much, as is evident in the reading of this epistle. And I think that he speaks to some things that maybe answer this question for us. What are we supposed to do when we're separated from those that we love? And in Philippians chapter 1, I think Paul gives us 7 things that we can do that will help us be able to deal with this very different type of situation that all of us find ourselves in right now because of the coronavirus. So what are we supposed to do when we're separated from people that we love? 7 things. Number 1, Paul says that we ought to be thankful for each other. He says that in Philippians 1 and verse 3 when he says, I thank my God in all my remembrance of you. So the first thing he says is be thankful for one another. I hope this time of separation from each other will cause each and every one of us to be more thankful for the people that really matter the most to us. And if it's our church family that we love and miss so much, I hope that we'll be more thankful for each other than ever before. The second thing he says that we can do is we ought to remember each other. And that is involved in being thankful for one another. But he says specifically, I thank my God in all my remembrance of you. So not only be thankful for each other, but remember each other. And then he says the third thing that we can do is that we can pray for each other. In verse 2, in verse 4, He says, always in every prayer of mine for you all, making my prayer with joy. And so he was remembering those that he was separated from in prayer. And that's a great thing for Christians to do right now as we're separated from each other. Spend some time in prayer, asking God to be with those that we're separated from, and asking him to help us in this ordeal that our country is facing, that our world is facing. So be thankful for each other, remember each other, pray for each other. And number 4, realize that we really need each other. Listen to what he says beginning in verse 5, going down through verse 7. He says, because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now, and I am sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion in the day of Jesus Christ. It is right for me to feel this way about you all, because I hold you in my heart, for you all are partners with me of grace, both in my imprisonment and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel. Paul, I think, is telling them, we really need each other. I need you. I couldn't do this without you. And in a lot of ways, they couldn't do what they were doing without Paul. And so I hope this time of separation from each other will not only cause us to be thankful, more thankful for each other, but to realize we need each other. Ironically, something good can come from this, and that is we will be more dependent, I hope, on interaction with each other, depending on each other. So that's one of the things that Paul says that we can do when we're separated from each other, is we can come to this realization that we really do need each other. Then the 5th thing he says is, let this separation cause you to appreciate others more. In verse 8, he says, for God is my witness how I yearn for you all with the affection of Jesus Christ. I don't know about you, but just missing church on Sunday, just being in the presence of the church family on Sunday, just one Sunday, it's already caused me to yearn for my brothers and sisters in Christ. And I think that's one of the positive things that can come from this is that we can realize this separation is going to actually cause us to appreciate each other more. We're already missing each other, And hopefully we'll appreciate each other more in all of this. Then the sixth thing, he says, continue to be a positive example of Jesus when you're apart from each other. In verses 9 through 11, I think that's what he's saying is keep doing the right thing and know that we're going to do the right thing even though we're separated from each other. He says, and it is my prayer, here's another reference about prayer, it's my prayer that your love may abound more and more with knowledge and all discernment, so that you may approve what is excellent and be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ to the glory and praise of God. So one of the things we can do when we're separated from each other is we just do what we should do when we're separated from each other. We have to do this every day of the week anyway. When we come to church on Sunday and then we're apart from each other for a few days, this is what we're supposed to do, is take the gospel and live it out in our lives. So keep on doing the right thing every day when we're separated from each other. And then the seventh thing, in this list of 7 things that we ought to do when we're separated from each other, is we can know that some good will come from this bad event. Paul said in verse 12, Philippians chapter 1, I want you to know, brothers, that what has happened to me, he's talking about his imprisonment, that what has happened to me has really served to advance the gospel. And he goes on to refer to how some in the imperial guard have even come to know Jesus Christ. I'm convinced that one of the things, when we look back on this event, one of the things that will come from this is some good will come from it. We'll look at some things that we had to reevaluate. We'll look at some things that we're having to do right now, and we'll realize some good actually came from that. So what are you doing right now in this time of social distancing? I hope you can do some of these things as you're separated from people that you care about and you love, especially your church family, if that is the case. I hope that you can remember that Paul speaks to what it's like to be separated from someone that you love. I hope this has been helpful and uplifting and encouraging to you, and I hope that you'll continue to do well during this time and use this time to grow in your relationship with the Lord, and remember these principles about being separated from each other. Hope you have a great day.